And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Four Horsemen of the Mecha-Apocalypse stream. This will be volume number 7 of the Build Along, or the Four Horsemen streams. My name is James, or no Zaku Boy. We now all have sweet Four Horsemen hats. Geo, unfortunately, is not with us. He may be joining later. Aside from that, we will be just a quick recap of last episode, just going over what we did, and then we shall get onto the scribing. So we'll be teaching you everything from the downright basics to some more advanced stuff. We'll see how we go anyway. So I will pass the mic over to Shane and let him introduce himself.
What's up? I'm Shane, also the Daft Robo, also Dr. Funkenstein. I'm coming to you live from the Midwest, United States. What's up?
And old mate Rob.
I'm trying to fix his fucking camera, man. Sorry.
We will let him.
Come back to Rob.
G'day, Rob. Gundam Tas 77 on the IG world, I guess. Coming from Melbourne. Yeah. Well, that's about it.
Yeah.
420 to you guys, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
it's for you guys.
It's 21 here, but
yeah,
I got some nice stuff.
Lucky.
Yesterday. It's supposed to this is supposed to be some trippy shit, but I love dudes who just spin a lot of shit about their weed. I just just give it to me, man.
Yeah, I don't need the name. I don't need that. I don't need that.
So yeah, cheers, mate. Anyway, yeah. So welcome. Thanks for joining us, everyone. So on to you, James.
All right. So just as a recap of last episode for those who may have missed it, or just to see the progress we've made. So we just went over basics of plat plating and like scratch building. So we made each different mohawk on our kits and just boxed it out, sanded it up. So if you want to see how we did that, the last stream covers that. I also put some little ply plate details and trims around the skirt. And then also filled in the back of the hands just by using some ply plate as well. Just left and right there. Then also made the shoulder cannon. So this is fixed. The way I did my one is I fixed it to, I put a poly cap inside this little bit that was just glued off to the backpack. So just little details, nothing exciting, and just stuck a few greeblies here and there, but then that just slots in. So this was all made with plastic, like just plastic sheeting, bread clips, couple greeblies I had lying around. These were like piping off my goof flight type, so just puttied and sanded. So I used multiple bread clips to get it all done. Mine only moves up and down and comes out the side.
Nice.
Just different side tubing. I also ended up cutting off the original sort of thruster marks, and then there were some leftover thrusters I had off my goof flight type as well that I just stuck on there because they fit perfectly. And that was pretty much everything we covered in the last episode. How'd you boys go with yours?
Well, I'm pretty happy with mine. I did the good old classic fucking good old mohawk. That's a bit there's no straight bits basically, so it was a bit harder to bend and shit. Filled it up.
Do you want to move that a bit to the left because it's slightly off camera?
Oh, yeah. So let me have a look at, because I'm not. There you go.
Yeah, that's better.
So it's not bad. Did a little hole. I am going to put like some type of body jewelry in there. If I can get a real one, that'll be great. If not, I'll just probably make one. Did the cannon. That was pretty cool. And just did. I wanted it to be over his shoulder, not so much on his side. So I thought the best way to do is just make a little hingy type things. It doesn't go left and right. So but I used an old like an old mechanical pencil inside, and then some for a lens, and did heated up some clear styrene, or sorry, clear runners for the camera lens there.
Nice.
Very cool.
And bread clips, and that's it. That looks pretty
Awesome.
cool. I'm happy with that.
Shane?
What's it? All right. Well, I'm kind of further behind than you guys, but here's my mohawk so far.
Yeah, nice.
So I've got the cutouts. I wanted to do something different, so I went square. So I used like the rectangular tubing.
Oh, cool. Yep.
For the cutouts, and that's all blocked in. I'm refining the edge with the putty a little bit. So that's going on top. I'm gonna do the like yours is kind of with the stripping on the side a little bit.
Yep.
And I wanted to keep this. I wanted to keep the seam line here, or
Yeah.
the panel line, so you'll still be able to see it.
Cool.
And then the Canon. I've been working on this today a little bit, and this week I've just been busy, but kind of going for like a rail gun kind of shit.
Oh, awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
So I use like tubing, and this is the blue is bread clips, and then the yellow is bread clips. So right now I'm working out my the first polycap. So I'm gonna put a polycap here, and it's gonna be able to rotate like this.
Yep.
But it's gonna come up over the shoulder too, similar to Taz. But I'm thinking I'm gonna use a polycap out of here in a box where it can rotate like this. But then I want it to telescope, kind of like Taz's, but I want to maybe use tubes. So I'm thinking of a way I can use like tubes, because I want to use all the tubing to come up. But
yeah, cool.
So so that's where I'm at with that. And I need to add some more little details and stuff.
Awesome. That is sweet. So today we will just be going over everything on the basics from scribing, as I said. So we put out a list of things we will be using. So I'll just show now. So the old trumpeter scriber is probably the cheapest and easiest way to get into scribing. I've been using this for ages. This was the first scriber I bought. Well, I lie. This was the first thing I bought that I thought was a scriber. You may know this piece of crap.
Yep, that's the first scriber I bought too.
The Tamiya scriber is completely useless, and I highly do not recommend you buy this. It's good for like cutting flower plate, but even then it puts a bevel on the edge. I don't recommend using one of these. I'll just like draw a quick example so you can see why. So like a normal scriber like will give you, say, like it'll do that, like, so using chisels and like say this Madworks scriber, they give you a flat bottom, so they're doing a line like that, whereas this thing, the Tamiya cutter, does a V like that, and it's very noticeable. It looks really bad. The trumpeter scriber does the same thing as the V, except instead of being like this, it runs like a very small, so it's like not as noticeable, and it actually produces a fairly nice line. So yeah, like everyone I know has bought one of these. Like I scratched off the word where it said scriber because it lied, and I think everyone's been suckered in buying this, going, oh, it's a scriber. And yeah, for scribing panel lines, don't waste your time. Save your money and just spend it. Like these are about $10. I think Hasegawa also make these in white handles, I believe. But yeah, like this will be the cheapest and easiest way to get into it. After the trumpeter, the next one that are decent are the Madworks scribers. So this is a 0.15 Madwork, and that's just a flat blade. These are good. They're surprisingly, after using them, I was very impressed. But like on the quality, like so compared to the BMCs, these are very close. Like these are a bit. You can definitely tell the difference, but it's negligible, and these are a lot cheaper. So I believe this 0.15 Madworks was all of 15 Australian dollars. like 15 to 20 Australian bucks each, whereas the BMCs run from like 50 Australian upwards. So they're not cheap, but then you look at, say, the BMCs are a very fine, sharp blade. These are, you can, like, I find using these over, say, the Madworks or this, it's a lot more finesse. Like, you can sort of scribe a lot nicer with them. It's a lot smoother. So pretty much we're looking at good, better, best, but it's all down to price range, what you can get your hands on and whatever you can afford as well. So $10 will set you more than happy on your world of scribing. So aside from those two, what we'll be using is just your standard Dymo tape. So this is the embossing stuff. It's like got the backing on it. It's black, thick. It's easily found. Fairly cheap. I think it's like $10 for 3 rolls.
Yeah.
So like it's good. Then this is the Sujiboro, same guys who make BMC. It's pretty much identical to the Dymo tape, like same plastic packaging and everything, except the difference with this one is it's clear.
Okay.
So this is probably my favorite of the tapes because I like the backing because then you can lay it out, cut it as needed, cut shapes out of it, and then peel off the backing and stick it on. The other tapes, so this is the Madworks clear tape. Mm-hmm. It's good. The only problem I have, and this is another clear scribing tape from a Chinese brand I bought. The only difference, these are good, but the problem I have with this tape is there's no backing on it. So when you peel it off, you keep grabbing the sticky side. It loses its stick. I like it, but I'd rather use... Clear tape is obviously better because you can see through it. It helps when you're like laying it down on your pieces. If you've drawn lines, you can line it up a lot better that way. But yeah, I'm sort of 50-50 on this tape. It does its job really well.
Is it thinner than the Dymo?
It's it's a little bit thinner than the Dymo too. So, but it sticks well, and at least it's already in your thin size. So. Like usually with this stuff, I'll cut it into strips about this wide anyway because it goes around corners easier. But yeah, like I don't know, like this tape is good, but I find I prefer this sort of stuff. Like I'd rather use the Dymo with the backing, and it's solely because it has the backing, so I can lay it out and cut shapes. So aside from the tapes, the other things I will be using is. So this is another type of scriber I have lying around. This is a 0.4, just all-in-one. These are the same sort of things. I think this was about $30. It's not bad, but any scriber blades with a flat chisel tip is your general best bet. The other things we'll probably be using with the trumpeter scriber, I highly recommend having a hobby knife on hand. So I use these just to make my initial first pass lines. It's easier. I'll explain once we get to the scribing why I use a knife. But that is there. We will also be using a mechanical pencil or any grey lead pencil. And I recommend just some sandpaper as well for sanding the parts before we start drawing.
Thin cement as well.
Ah, yes. Good point.
Which I gotta grab some thin cement and I gotta grab some sandpaper. I'll be back.
Yeah, no. So as Taz was mentioning, I use extra thin cement after scribing lines, and I'm done scribing, and this just smooths out the bottom of your panel lines. Works quite well. We'll explain that as well once we get up to that point. So I better check up with the chat. Sorry, I have not been
everybody in the chat. Yeah.
I have not been paying attention. How are we all doing? Jesus, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sorry guys. I am not ignoring you. I will get that. Hello, everyone.
What up, Tim? What up, Julio? What up, Chris? What up, Witchy? Yeah. What up, everyone? What up, Kyle?
Sorry, guys. I am... Yeah, all right. we'll just wait for Taz to get back. I'm just going to catch up on you guys. I've been getting the habit wearing them while just painting. Yeah, gloves is pretty decent. I find slightly thinner Madwax tape than the HIQ carving tape. There you go.
That's the chat.
Exactly. Bailey knows what's up.
Alright, guys. Do you other two have anything else before we get started?
No, I'm going to flip my camera around and do the dang thing.
Ooh, yeah. Alright, so I'm just going to start by pulling apart. We'll start on the shield because it's the easiest place to explain things. Alright, so the reason I said grab some sandpaper, I'm just using a bit of 240, and I'm just going to start by sanding the face, because if you sand a piece with your grey lead will stick a lot easier to it. So, yeah, by sitting here and sanding, we can then draw out what we want, and the grey lead will stick a lot easier to it. You'll be able to see better. And we will come up with the design. Now, usually, like, to come up with a design, I might just start drawing. Like, your best bet is to start drawing on a kit. So we could do maybe, I don't know, something like put some lines in, put some work out.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we'll do something like just sort of draw whatever you feel like. Angles are always fun. Now, I'm not like being super accurate right now. I'm just sort of getting a rough outline of what I want. If I don't like something, I'll just quickly sand it off or use the rubber and erase it. And that will mean I can just start again. So for argument's sake, I'm pretty much just going to run down. I reckon I'm going to do a double line, so we'll do that. And then I'm just going to do like a sort of angled pattern across, maybe something like that. So then if I just erase that, so I'll do a sort of zigzag wave pattern, like it's going to roughly run down there, across, back up there, and then down to the bottom. And I'll mirror this from left to right as well. So when you're roughly happy with your your design, I'm going to transfer this to, I'm going to bust out a ruler and draw it properly.
Ruler.
So
Ruler.
What I shall do is do my first line, do my second line, and then I'm going to just make a mark there for, let's do that, say 5 mil apart. And then we'll do 3 mil. And we'll do the same and go 5 mil apart again. So come up with whatever design you want, obviously, just as long as you like the look of it, that will be fine. Now so I'm going for I'm going to follow this line here, up, across, back down, and do that sort of pattern there. So the next thing I will generally do is, I probably should have mentioned, I use masking tape a shitload.
A shitload? A metric shitload?
No, that's a metric fuck ton.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so I'll just lay this over. And the good thing about tape is I can see my lines underneath. So I'm just going to transfer that and draw the final design on this piece of tape.
Way off.
All right, so now I've transferred my line to the tape. Now the reason I've done this is I can then come along and grab my dymo tape. And I'm just going to grab some scissors and cut off a section. And then my hands haven't stopped shaking today. It's driving me insane.
Have another drink, buddy.
I think I need to.
Why are you so shaky? You nervous?
No, I've just been drinking for 3 days straight.
Oh, well, it's Easter. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, true that, eh?
What else are you supposed to
Like,
do?
it's pretty bad today. Alright, so I'm just going to transfer this pattern to my dymo tape.
Nice.
And then what we can do is grab our ruler, grab our sharp hobby knife. Oh, right, I've got to move my chair. All right. So just line up. Cool. All right. So what I'll do now is once I've got that, I'll just follow the lines, cut your tape with a straight edge. And then that one, why can't I? All right, so now you can see I've cut the dymo to that pattern. So now I can dispose of the masking tape, and that'll give me a basis to work off. So if that should give or take line up with my original pencil marks, like so. Now I'm going to actually run on this. I reckon I'm just going to do this as a panel like that. So it'll look something like that, obviously,
Like that.
and then come all the way down. So that'll be like an insert panel. So I will then take said tape and we're just going to peel this off and stop it. So I just want to make a mark as well. Like I know it's going to be, let's run it up a bit. Actually, yeah, that'd be cool if it runs to there. Yeah, all right, done. So we're just going to stick this directly now to this piece. So once again, peel off the backing.
What up, Jesus? Yeah, Bailey. Super glue does work well when you overscribe shit.
100%.
And a little cornstarch, or the or if you get a little Zappa Gap, or what's the accelerator called for Zappa Gap? Or this shit?
Zip kicker.
Zip kicker. The kicker, mate.
Otherwise,
Kicker right in the
I
box,
also used to use what do you call it? Bicarb soda.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Cornstarch, baking. Yeah, I've used baking soda too.
Yeah, like that's always what I use now. once I've got my Dymo tape, I'm also going to just trim off the bottom because I do not need that on my piece. And that's going to give me a point of reference too for the next one. So I'm just going to grab some of the old nips.
The old nips.
And just cut that off there. So now you can see I'm going to follow this line up, across, and then I'm not going to go the whole way across on this side, but I will start the cross line there because I'm going to then show you how to mirror this so we can do the exact same on the other side. So for now, I'm just going to grab a brand new knife because this one's a bit dull.
Mm.
All right.
So yeah, like it. I like where you're going with that.
All right. So yeah, God, my hands are going to stop shaking today. It's driving me nuts. Having like booze withdrawals. Taz hasn't laughed enough.
No, Taz is not laughed enough.
Bailey says, careful with accelerators. He finds it introduces bubbles during chemical reactions. I have not experienced that personally. But
Bailey, didn't you tell me it gets hot too? I've never had that reaction.
Oh, it gets very hot. Accelerators like make shit hot. If you've ever like got super glue on your fingers and sprayed accelerator, it burns.
Really?
Yes, I do not recommend it. All right, so the first thing next thing I'm going to do, now that I've like laid this piece out, I've got a sharp knife. Now, the only reason the trumpet is a bit sketchy when it comes to scribing lines without doing this first. The other chisels, no issue, I wouldn't bother with the knife. But because we're using the trumpeter on this, I find it's just easier to have a start-stop point by using the knife as well. So I would tend to just follow my tape. I'm just not pushing hard at all, just doing a light pass on both directions of that. So just so you can get in the corners. Now, the other thing to keep in mind to stop yourself from going too far is I will start at that point, come down about halfway, flip the piece over, start on the other point and come down. The times you always scribe too far is you will go from here and you're like, oh, I'll just stop at that point, but you'll keep going and slip and then you go too far. Whereas if you start at the end point and come halfway and then flip it over, start at the other side end point and come back and meet that line in the middle, you'll have a lot less fuck ups. So we'll do the same, start at that point, come down to the tape, and it just gets you a nicer corner as well, like all about those connecting corners. So we'll do the same with the center, run down, center, and just keep going around just nice and lightly. You're just doing enough that it'll scratch into the plastic so your trumpeter scriber has somewhere to follow.
Like that.
Just keep working your way around. And then we'll do the same. So I'm only going to run on the top halfway because once I get around to doing the other side, we'll meet it back up. So we'll start in that corner. And stop there. So now I've hit it around with my knife. The trumpeter scriber will scribe a little bit easier. And the trick is not too much pressure, many light passes over one heavy pass. Every time you do a heavy pass, you're more likely to slip, scribe too far.
Let the tool do the work.
All right, exactly, 100%. So now I will just grab the old trumpeter and we're just going to start in every corner. This one doesn't matter, I can just light passes, and you sort of like keep going till you're sort of happy with the depth. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, about 10 should be alright on this one. It depends. Yeah, like you'll sort of, after you do it for a while, you get the hang of how many passes you will do. So I will then scribe, once I've done like the first line, so I've done that down. When I do this a few times, I'll hit that corner, turn the piece, and then continue the line. So hit the corner, turn, continue the line using that diamond as a guide. So then we'll do the same. We'll start on this corner, scribe slightly there, get about halfway. I don't want to go too far. Flip it over, start on the other corner, and we'll just meet that line. And then continue all three. So down, it hits that point. And by starting in the point as well, it generally gets a little bit deeper there because that's where you're constantly starting. So when you come back to scribe, the scriber sort of just stops because it hits that edge and lets you. As soon as you push too hard though, that's when you'll slip. So then we'll do all three. And we just keep this process going until we've done them all. So once again, start in that corner, a few passes, so then I want to always pull towards yourself as well, never push your scribe. I'll show you the techniques that we'll use to do notches and little recesses that involve doing little recesses that involve pushing, but it's very rare, and you only tend to do them with like a 2 mil or a 1 mil chisel, etc.
Etc. etc.
All right, so now the thing is a lot with that I'm a big believer in panel lines is, see, this is more of an artsy panel line, like this would serve no purpose. It's like just how they've joined the metal, I guess, in these weird shapes. But if you look at a lot of my favorite scribes, generally like little hatches and stuff that looks like it would open, so you'd have flaps that would lift down, have a reason behind your panel lines. Like, don't get me wrong, like people like the Studio Rahito, if you've seen that work, it looks amazing, but it's so busy and so many lines, and like it's a different style, but I sort of look at that and go, no one would actually build that thing like that. It's more of a like purely cosmetic panel line, whereas I like to think my panel lines that I normally do serve a purpose. So you're like showing little hinges, you're showing little like notches and stuff will represent little hinges, and so on and so forth. But I mean, if you are a fan of those crazy scribed kits, like, no worries, go ahead, do it. Like, it looks cool, I agree, but it is 100% not my style.
No, it helps if you look at it like, if you want to, you can look at the frame. If it's like a master grade and kind of see what details are under it.
Yeah, true. Think of like where the...
Mechanically, someone's going to have to get in, an engineer would have to get in there and work on that piece somehow.
Correct.
So, just think about the detail and such.
So we're just going to keep working. How's yours coming along, man?
I'm going for like, I want to do like a box. It's not going to be a box, like a trapezoidal box kind of thing going on.
All right. How you going over there, Taz?
Slow and low.
All good, mate. That is the point, is it not?
That is the tempo.
Slow and low, that is the tempo.
Take your time. Do not ever rush. As soon as you start rushing, that's when you start making mistakes. I'm trying to do it a little bit quicker because I want to move on to the next phase.
Right.
But keep at it. We'll get there. I'm almost done on this line anyway.
Do we have any questions or anything going on in the chat? Hey,
Yes.
thanks, Bailey.
That would be good.
While James is hurrying, I can read some chat. Helps too if you've got some calipers.
It would.
See, I'm kind of basing my design off of the actual the detail that's there. I just kind of want to frame it in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm just
good.
essentially
Yep.
I'm just using whatever I can really think of that will show different techniques for different angles. So there's no real thought behind mine at the moment. It's just that would be a good way to show you how to scribe a 45 angle.
Oh yeah.
This is a good way to show you how to scribe a right angle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll show you how to do some recesses as well. So this is more of a 100% an artsy scribe.
Artsy fartsy.
Artsy, mate. Right, so then once I've done that, I will just make a final pass over everything, just slowly, steady. I'm going to be really embarrassed if I pull this off and it looks like shit.
Oh shit! I went too far.
You went too far?
Yeah, just slightly though.
Give us a can. Oh, yeah. That's why if you stop right before you hit that point and spin the piece around and go from the other way,
Yeah, I usually do that.
you won't have that issue. So, all right, back to, let's have a look. Yeah. Looking good, looking good. All right, so I think now that I've done this to this point, I've gone over my lines. We'll do it one more time for keeping me happy. Are we boring you that much that you've gone to sleep, Taz?
No, I'm concentrating. Sharp.
I just said I'm on the floor.
Well, it's funny because we're doing things that Taz needs to concentrate on. I can't wait till we start.
I know. Taz's episode soon will be awesome once he starts teaching people how to weather. Then you won't shut him up.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
All right. So once we've done the first, so I've done that. Now I want to actually translate this exact same. Everything about this I need the same so I can do to the other side. So to achieve that, I'm just going to quickly check. I'm looking at about 1 millimeter to my line. So what we shall do is I'm going to just peel this piece of Dymo off. So here you can see the line that has been scribed. Now, the trick that saves me so much time is I take my original piece of Dymo tape,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will stick it to the back of a brand new piece of Dymo tape, like so. So now, what I need to do is just grab my old nibs. Grab the nibs.
Grab the nibs. Oh, so you're sticking it to the backing.
So I'm sticking it to the backing of this piece here.
I love it. Get them nips.
Using the nips or a hobby knife. I'll use both in the end, but for now, to get the bulk of it off. Sweet. So then I just grab my knife. We'll just cut. Is that your dog snoring?
That is my dog snoring.
That's amazing. I thought it was Taz.
No, that's hilarious. The dog is deaf, so when it sleeps really good.
Yeah.
He's just dead, man.
Alright, so now here we have a mirror image of our two bits of tape. So if I peel this one off, and that's the easiest way I find to transfer one pattern to the other.
I like it. I will be using that idea.
So that way, like, essentially, if I stick that and that should look pretty much identical. So then we can just quickly sand this up so you can have a look. So here we can see that's the basic outline of what we've done there. So then just around, so then when we come to putting this new piece on, that should line up. Now I'm just going to quickly measure it because I think I've done myself a big favor. And my original guideline looks like it is the same distance. Good deal. Things don't normally work out that well, like for lining it up, but I'm just going to check. So if I go a mil and a mil off, that pretty much means if I stick it to this back edge along that edge, it should be give or take the same distance apart. That's crazy. But normally I would just say measure this.
Right.
Like, so for argument's sake, I'm just going to do a line at a millimeter. And then just now, if you hold the pencil like this and your finger to the edge, and just run your finger along like the edge, like I did this in trade school all the time as a woodworker. It's a quick way to just get a straight line that's consistent. Just by running your finger down and using, like, holding that stiff, so when you run your finger down, your pencil doesn't move, and you use that straight edge to get a straight line. So then we can grab our second piece of, I didn't like that, let's do it one more time. So we're going to take that and take our piece of Dymo. This is why I like the stuff with the backing, because you can do this, whereas I find if you're using stuff like this, it makes it really hard to do this sort of thing. So I use both. Like, this is really good if you're just doing a single straight line.
Yeah.
I use it all the time for that sort of thing. But I find if you're trying to do a shape like that out of one piece, Dymo tape is by far the way to go. Does anyone in the chat have any questions so far? How are we going over there? You can also get a ruler.
Ruler stop. Yeah.
Add. Ah, yeah, that would be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just sort of using what I have. There's a bunch of tools I need to really go by.
So does a ruler stop work on any ruler? Would it work on a smaller ruler like this?
I did not know of at all.
I've never seen a ruler stop. So,
but then does that mean I could technically just 3D print myself a little square that slides over this ruler with a little threaded nut in the end to hold it in place? Maybe I should design one of them. Actually, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, could you do that? Could you get? I'd like one too, please.
No worries. I'll work it out and care package one up at some point.
Yeah.
I've still got to send you your file plate too.
Well, I need that part. I need the angle holder magnetic.
Oh, I've got to print some of them too. Fucking hell.
You got all kinds of shit to do.
Yeah, I know. Right? Come off, you prick. All right. So then we'll just grab my tweezers. Now the reason I also cut these flush with the bottom, it means I can line that bottom up with that fairly well, and that gives me a start-stop point. But then at the same time, we could also line it up with the top. So we're just going to line it up as best as possible.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I went over again a bit.
Pretty bad. On the plus side, now you will be able to. Don't fix it until you're ready.
I think a sanding will fix it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you have to fill it, it's a good excuse to show people how to fix your fucker.
True that.
So I'm just going to line that up to there. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Obviously, you can be a world more accurate than I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to start there, though. Fuck it. Alright, so let's fucking grip. See, this is where diamond can be a pain in the ass. Sometimes it just doesn't want to stick. So generally around curved sections, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
I find if you wipe your surface down with alcohol right before you stick it to it, it will help, obviously. Because you've been finger fucking that piece for fucking an hour.
Well, technically, yeah. Oh, that's
so you got your oils all over it and stuff, you know.
Yeah, true. This is good enough for what I'm doing. I'm not too concerned.
Bailey, I don't want to. Bailey said I should add a piece of tape as a stop, and I could do that. I should do that. I might do that on this edge right here because I don't want it to go. I don't want it to go over the edge.
Could you do this with a sharpened nail? You probably could.
Yeah. You could, Jesus. This is a Hasegawa scriber. It is.
Oh, mate, Julio.
Jesus, this is or is it Julio? Yeah, you could, Julio. This is just this is really a piece of steel that has a super sharp point on it. I like this to scribe circles because you can it's a point.
This is probably a little bit off from where I've stuck it, but at this point I don't really care. I just sort of want to get it done. I probably should have moved across it. Fuck it. Yeah, I'm going to redo that.
Fuck it.
I'll just fill that one. We'll be pro, mate. I just probably should take my time a little bit more.
What I like to do with my Dymo tape is once I cut it, I like to slice that piece in half.
Yes, that bends a lot better.
But then also I get two pieces. I know I try to cut it at a weird angle so that I know obviously one is blatantly straight.
Yep.
Oh, and it flies away.
All right, so now that we've got the second piece on, we'll just grab our knife again. Now now. I'm a little bit off, but just, I don't know, that's close enough. I'm not overly concerned, for argument's sake. So we'll just, once again, continue around, get all point to point. Obviously, if you're doing this for something extremely precise, take your time, measure everything properly, be a lot more accurate than I am right now. So on the goof, like, I spent ages measuring, making sure everything was exactly where I wanted it before I scribed, because that being for a competition, I wanted to be have no mistakes at all on the kit. So
yeah,
it generally helps. I mean, technically you should do it on everything, stop being lazy, but for the argument of live stream, I'm not too concerned. Essentially what I'm saying is don't do what I'm doing right now.
right.
Well, do it nicer than I'm doing.
Do it better.
Yeah, do what I'm doing, except do it better. Cool. So then, same deal, we'll just quickly scribe around.
I don't want this shit.
Alright, if you're confident and steady-handed, there's no need to get fancy with the tools. Correct. Like, I have been known to freehand a lot of stuff, but I do not recommend it. But this is why, like, I'm showing you with Dymo tape and a trumpeter scriber. This is like all of it's going to cost you like no more than $15. Like, you've spent, say, $10 on the scriber, you've spent $5 on the scribing tape. No worries. And you can get very good results with this scriber. If you have seen Joshua Darrah's Sinanju, he won GBWC Australia with, he used this scriber a lot. Because I was chatting with him about it, and he's like, yeah, we use the same scriber. I'm like, wow. And that was, yeah, before he had his BMCs and whatnot. So it goes to show you don't need if super expensive like BMCs to do good work.
It helps.
Oh, it helps, yes. It 100% helps. And it's nice to have, and they're nice to use. But this will do the same thing. So now we can just follow around.
I'm like freehanding the angles here. Let's see how good they are.
I just made a slip and went over.
Oh.
What a jackass.
What a jackass.
Oh, you're not doing it on camera, mate. I just flicked over to have a look. You're taping on camera, but you're not like scribing on camera.
I haven't scribed yet. I scribed. You weren't even watching, James.
I just flicked over and it was like
because I was trying to line this up with my eye, and I can't put my eye. I put my shit to my eye a lot.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, guys, this is what I put it to my eye. I'm like, is that straight? I don't know. And I know it looks weird and hard to tell because it's two pieces of tape that are different lengths. So I stick it up and I'm like, I can't really do that.
Yeah, fair enough. All good, nice.
But I will scribe it now.
Ooh.
On camera. I like to use sticky tack and stick pieces to my work surface.
What is that?
So they don't move. It's kind of like a vise. So I can work on them without them moving.
Nice. That is, yeah, that's why I recently went and picked up one of these smaller vices as well.
Yeah, I've got one of those. I don't use it much.
Yeah, I ended up grabbing this because I found for like doing like holding certain pieces like heads, really small stuff. Like this thing's so good because it just gives me something bigger to hold as I'm scribing. But yeah, no, that's why I ended up buying that. It seems to work a fair bit better.
I like the ones that, have you seen the ones that are metal that have a base on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I'd like to get that one.
Well, I've got like I've got one of those bench ones that clamp onto the edge of my bench.
Yeah, I've got one of those too.
Like it's good, but it's a little bit
it's like too much
and a bit too much.
It's a little bulky. Yeah,
but it works well for its job. All right, so I'm pretty much going to say I've made a few mistakes and overscribed because I was rushing, which gives me a good excuse to show you ways of fixing things. We'll see if it sands out first, though. Always try to sand it out first.
Always.
All right, so if we go back to myself, so you can see there I was sort of rushing and had a couple slips with the scriber. But it is what it is, so we'll just hit it with a bit of sandpaper so you can see exactly how much I stuffed that one up. So that line's a bit wonky. I sort of rushed over there and have slipped, but those look shallow enough I should be able to file them out. I went a little bit over in that corner too, but we'll just grab a file, if I can find it. There it is. My old Tamiya basic files. These smooth ones are great. I love them. And we'll just file this down. Yeah, that's going to go. We shall be able to get away with...
Let's get my charger.
All good, man.
Whoops.
Yeah, it looks like I'll be able to get away with...
I got a bit of a
not
wonk.
having to fill. It's because I didn't use my head.
Because you didn't what?
I didn't put my hips into it. That was the problem.
You gotta put your hips in it.
Yeah. The things you learn.
Mm-hmm.
This drinking game that we're supposed to be playing today is like been failing.
Well,
I don't think I've
what
been
am I say? Do I need to say literally more, and you need to say
reckon.
Reckon, yes.
And Taz needs to have a chuckle.
Yeah.
All right, so the filing obviously has saved my butt on that one. So if you can generally file away, works well. So I'm just going to then hit it with the sandpaper some more.
It's definitely wonky down here. Wonk City. Don't like that.
All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's like a little bit inaccurate, but it's close enough for this demonstration anyway. So up next, let's add some horizontal lines and we'll move on to doing some like notches, I guess. Notches seem fun.
I love notches.
So,
yeah, I've got to do mine again too.
how you going anyway, man? All right?
Not the straightest of lines. That's okay.
Ooh, I just de-wonkied it. Oh, yeah.
So what are you doing?
I will tell you this, guys. I will tell you this. When you, especially when you're scribing, if your lines look wonky, if you make the line wider, it will usually straighten itself out, if that makes sense. Like if you have a slight, if your line doesn't, I mean, obviously if it's curved or not, the angle's not perfect, it's not going to work. But like, especially if you try to freehand, where's round shapes here. Let's see if I can show you like this. All of this is scribed, but I started with the trumpeter. Well, actually, I started with this, and I just So like this one right here, I've been doing, and I've just been slowly going over it, and I just freehanded this. And then after a while, I'll go in with like a 0.5 chisel, and I'll just go over it, and I'll make that gap wider, and it'll make it more even.
Yeah.
Oops.
What's going on there, Taz?
I'm just setting up the camera, so it looks like it's going to keep falling.
Oh, good man. Jesus is asking where you got that T-square ruler, because I also need one.
Okay, well, I got this from Hobby Search like 3 years ago. They're hard to find right now. I was trying to find one for Geo, and I can't.
I need one of those so bad.
So this is the Wave. This is the smaller version. They also make a big one. This is the HT385. This is my favorite tool in my arsenal, actually. So they make a bigger one, but the small one is perfect.
You know how many times I've been wanting that on my current diorama build?
I don't think you don't have one.
I need a square. I don't have one. Jesus.
Do they have a Taobao version, like a cheapy?
I'll have to have a look.
Because I mean, I'd like another one. I'd like the bigger one too. I just I can't find them.
When I'm in Japan next month, I'll keep my eye out and see if I can find one.
Yeah, there's something else I was looking for. It may have been that. I couldn't find it.
All right, so
there's another company here that I just made these. I can't. I'm trying to think. It may be. There's another hobby company that's making these. Japanese. Madworks. No. Anyway, go ahead, James.
Madworks have some small photo etched ones. They're not as good as the Waves, though. Yeah. All right, so up next we shall go over using, say, some Madworks tape. And I'm just going to do some cross lines using this tape, because why not? So this is where I don't really like this tape. Sort of pick at it till it peels. And it's good because it's like see-through, but I don't really like it because you sort of touch the end to pull it out and it loses its stick there. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. So what we will do now is I'm just going to grab the old measuring device and let's go 2 mil up. Alright, so we're going to do a cross line there, because then we'll end up putting, say, maybe a little notch there and there. Okay, that's good enough, yeah. Alright, done, sorted. So once again, I'll just grab that. Grab some scissors.
Scissors.
I like scissors, except...
Scissors.
Exactly.
James, did you show Jesus that you got his little...
Oh, yes, I did. They are floating about. I have been using them. Thank you, sir. We had a laugh. The ultimate tape cutting device, which is just some nail scissors, but they're in the drawer somewhere. I was trying to find them where I put them the other day, but I couldn't. Gloves, guys. I have to have when I'm handling shit.
No, that's why I wash everything at the end.
Gloves are overrated.
Gloves when I'm painting, not when I'm doing this. It's too... no, thank you.
Alright, so that's why my paint jobs are always fucking shit, because I don't wear gloves. Alright, so same deal. We've got just the tape. This is good because it's thin and you can just sort of stick it. Like, it's good because it's thin and it's easy enough see-through. You can just sort of stick it down and off you go. But for doing straight lines, yeah, I will tend to use this. Like, I'll use the Madworks and thin sort of tapes. For any complex shapes, I will always use the Dymo. So then we will sort of just start at the end. I'm just going to very lightly. I'm putting like virtually no pressure. Just start in that panel line, run across.
Jesus, I got mine right here, man.
And that's the thing, these Madworks chisels just scribe a shitload cleaner and nicer lines. The Trumpeter's like, for $10, it's a good place to start. I don't really use it anymore, but that's because I've got a world of other more accurate chisels and such. And that way I can always choose my line thickness, whereas sort of with the Trumpeter, you're limited to the one size. Like the deeper you go, the wider the line will get with the Trumpeter. But you can get such a nice, clean line with, say, a proper chisel like the Madworks or the BMC. And this is like ridiculously sharp. So just like lightly passing a few times will give you like the level of that line compared to, say, the lines next to it, which you can see is ridiculous. Like,
100%.
Like that is nice, clean, straight with a few passes. Then you look at these lines next to it and they're sort of uneven. Like they're still good and you can still get really nice lines. It's just a lot harder to work with and you can't really be as accurate. So next we shall do some basic notches. So there's multiple ways. Usually these days will do all my notches with scribing templates, which I did not mention before. So these are what we call like photo etch scribing templates, all different shapes and sizes and patterns. And I buy a lot of these because they're rather useful tools. Essentially, like, so this is a like 0.3, 0.4. I use this a lot for notches. So usually I will just line this up, tape it to where I want, and then just get my scriber and just do our notches like that. But not everyone has these, so we will show you the way to do it without them. So I will just get rid of them for now out of the way. Yeah, if you can afford the Madworks, I would highly recommend spend the extra $10 and buy yourself a Madworks chisel if you've got the money. Like if you can only afford say $10, this is a great place to start. If you can afford to spend a little bit more, I highly recommend this. Yeah, shouldn't run about $15 to $20 for this one scriber. I would recommend, just go straight to this, and they fit in any knife handle blade. So they just look, you buy them and they come like that. And yeah, like if you can afford this, it's a way better place to start. So if you can afford that, go straight to that. If you've got money to burn, go buy yourself something like the BMC chisel, because these are like, you know what, like this is pretty like close, and this is like double, if not over double the price, but this is a lot nicer. It's negligible though. Like you can be rougher with these. These are, I'm going to scared I'm going to break it, but I love them. So don't be persuaded to buy BMCs unless you really want them. Like the Madworks will do you more than fine. So back to notches. How you going there, Taz?
Oh, good, man. I'm good. How are you?
How are you?
I am better than bad. I'm good.
Just it's doing a straight line.
Back to you. Are you putting the, by any chance, your tape on the, which side of the piece? I'm just trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Are you going straight down the center? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going straight down.
What tape are you using then?
I am using This tape.
Is that the clear?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
It's wide.
That's a good question. DNA, I think I did.
Because that looks the same as my Sujiboro one.
I'm pretty sure this is an El Cheapo Chinese one, man. It
comes out. That looks
that kind of. Yeah,
which kind of clear?
That kind of clear. It's a bit milky, like a tiny bit milky.
Yeah, no, that's pretty similar. Do you find does the glue leave itself on the piece?
The glue does.
I have found that with the Sujiboro one as well.
It does leave some kind of residue, and you do have to clean it off, like sand it off. You're gonna sand it off anyway. So, but for an El Cheapo, I don't know. I can't remember how much I paid for this. Not much.
That's good.
Bad. And it's thick enough. I think it's thicker than the Dymo one.
Yeah,
I've tried the Dymo, and either that or I'm just Unco. I keep slipping, man.
Yeah.
This one isn't too bad. I can actually guide myself properly with this.
Yeah, that's good because I prefer the backed ones because you can mess around with it more. But I like it in clear, which is this one I've got pretty much looks identical to the one you've got, except I probably paid more.
I mean, for what I did, it wasn't too complex of a design. Basically, just 1, 2, 3 angles both sides. So I just squared it off. Attempted to square it off as much as I can, and then just the scribe peel type technique instead of doing the actual. For more complicated ones, I probably would have done it like that as well.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to do that.
No, that's fair enough.
Simple as fuck with this shield. So but so I'm just going to do a straight line, and then I'm going to do a notch just at the end there.
Yep.
So I can with a straight line. If I'm going to do a notch there, I can go all the way down to this crossbar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to stop it right here.
No. Continue it the whole way.
Excellent.
All right. So the next thing we're going to do is just a couple I would say do 0.3 notches, but I don't actually own a 0.3 chisel, believe it or not. So I am going to do 0.4 because every time I go to buy a 0.3 chisel, they're sold out. It's driving me nuts. So, I'm in Japan in a month, so I'll buy it then. All right, so for the notches, I'm going to just run a bit of the tape just where I want my notch to stop, which is just below. So we're just doing some smallish ones just below the original line. And then I will grab a couple more bits of tape. This is the other reason I hate this tape. It's like why I hate sticky tape in real life. You got to find the end and peel that shit off. So we will just then cut that. And I'm just going to line this up with my line and go, this is where the clear tape's good. So I'm not measuring it out. I'm just going to line up the tape with the center of the panel line I originally scribed. So then I can just run that to there. So we'll put one there, then we'll do the same on the other side. Now you can do this as well with Dymo, but it's easier to do it with this sort of tape. Alright, so now I've got my tape marked up, and we will grab a 0.4. So this will show probably a bit better, like what that looks like. So it's just a flat end. And then we will just start from the original panel line. And we're just going to scribe down lightly, just light passes. just keep going until you're happy with the depth. So
Deeper.
So I'm just going to start and get that corner point. So I'm just going to push down in the corner and just drag it back. Really get that corner nice and crisp. Oops. Almost fucked up. Alright, so there's the first one. We'll do the same on the other side. Spin it round. Really get that corner.
Get that corner.
Get the corner.
Get that corner.
Like you want your lines to be as crisp and clean and nice as possible. Just nice and easy. Alright, so I'm going to call that pretty good. So we've got two, so we'll just peel off the tape now. And we'll just give that a sand, see how it looks. So there you can see this one's a little bit rough, but maybe it's just the dust not built up in there. So you can come back in anyway and just going to press down in the corner and try to square it off as I drag slightly back. Alright, so yeah, that'll do. Alright, so there's your basic technique for getting some little notches. Now they represent maybe hinges, so like maybe this piece actually hinges and flaps down, or that pops open, who knows.
Who knows?
It's like neither here nor there. So I guess we'll move on to what else do we need to show? Some recesses, which I love doing little recesses.
Yeah, you're the man to do those.
So recesses are probably my favorite, like little details. They look good all the time. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me just check the chat while I am taking a beer break.
Beer break.
Beer break.
That's a good excuse. A bum break.
Bit strapped, I'll have a look into it. Check it up into your the 1.5 MadWorks chisel is $12 at New Type HQ. Yeah, $12. I would recommend buying that as well over the trumpeter, if you can afford it, of course. I recommend buying Studio Dash's 3D printed handles, or find one thing versus printing them yourself. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, the 1.5 MadWorks is $19 on New Type HQ. Well, that's
Bailey
crazy.
Does
That's
hey
crazy.
Bailey, does Studio Dash have his tool holder on? Can you get that from his website? I know it's like his handles, but then he has like a whole like a thing that holds all the handles. Looks pretty cool.
So that's like the craze. So these 1.5 MadWorks chisel is $17.95 Australian. So something that's actually cheaper in Australia than it is in America.
What? That's crazy.
So there you go.
Oh, fucked up so bad.
Did you?
Yeah, it's so I didn't do it straight. It's going on an angle. Whoops. Yeah.
When you put that tape, did you cut that tape in half, or like a thin strip of it? Because I find with the thick tapes like that, if you cut that straight down the center in half, it makes it a shitload easier to bend and keep straight.
I just
I
just didn't put it on an angle. I mean, yeah, it's on a slight bend. It's on a slight angle. It's not 90 degrees.
If you cut it to a like 2 mil wide or a 3 mil wide strip instead of the full width, it'll be a lot easier as well when you do it. So
yeah, I'm a bit off. Just a tad. Way fucking off.
Looks great from my house, man.
Have you made any mistakes yet, Daft? So we can show Tez the art of filling.
My whole thing is a mistake.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. But yeah, we can show
maybe I'll
it.
just take a let's fix a fuck up break. So I will grab a piece of plastic out of my offcut bin. So this is why I never throw out any of my extra bits of styrene. So this is like my original like learning how to scribe test piece. I just got a bit of plastic and sort of learnt how to do it in something like that. So we will grab some tape. Let's just do a quick overscribe somewhere. God, this is why I hate this tape. Where's the end?
It's like box tape, man.
Oh, it's frustrating. All right. So say there's my line, and then I was running. All right. So say I was going to scribe this line here, and yeah, that looks good. All right. So we will grab. Let's do it wider. Where's 0.2? 0.2 will show better on the camera, maybe. Oops, I've already made a mistake then.
Oh shit.
And then we were coming down, and we're like, oh, we'll stop at that point. Oh no, I've just gone too far.
Oh no. Shit.
Oh no, I went too far. What a jackass.
What do we do?
I've gone too far many times. All right, so. Cool. So. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on camera because it's, oh yeah, that'll work well. Alright, so, oh no, I accidentally scribed all these lines over the edge of that line, and I'm really not happy with how that looks because I was just trying to make a nice 45-degree angle look alright, but I failed.
Yeah, I've got a lot of sanding. Oh, yep, got a lot of fixing to do.
So, super glue works well. Any CA glue like Zapigat, any, but I've also got the Madworks
black glue.
Black glue. This will be better. You can use, which is the one you use, so you've got the Loctite there, I see.
Got the Ultra Liquid Control, courtesy of Child of Mecca. Recommendation on that.
Any super glue will work, but for argument's sake, like I tend to use this because I've got it and I like it, and it's black, so you can see where you fucked up. So essentially what we'll do is just, and this stuff's a little bit thicker, I find, than the other super glues.
You guys are all fancy. I've got sludge glue.
You've got what, sorry?
You got sludge?
Got my good old
Sludge.
So I'll just put...
sludge. Sludge.
So what is that, Taz? What is sludge glue for people who do not know?
Just thin cement full of discarded runners, chopped up in little bits.
How much runners to glue do you put in?
That is totally up to you, but you'd want it. You don't want it to be a putty, but you don't want it to be too runny either. So, I don't know. To be honest, I just keep putting it till it gets to about.
What consistency do you reckon you're going for? I know it is sprue glue. There you go. Oh, yeah.
Sprue glue. I'd say the consistency is what? Close to...
Yogurt? Yogurt? Maybe? Like
gel super glue? Yogurt?
Like yogurt.
When you get to that yogurt consistency, it's just right.
Yeah, but like I said, it's totally up to you. You can... I'll just keep topping this up. Once my glue starts to run out and it's really hard to take out, I just put some more glue in there and then add some more runners. So
yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, it works like a putty, but you're adding plastic.
Styrene, pretty much plastic back to the same thing. That's cool.
Yeah, just recycling it, really, like, you know, going back to its.
Oh, for sure. So I'm just going to put this aside now until it dries. Like, it shouldn't take too long, but we'll come back to that little fuck up fix. Once that dries, we'll sand it up and I'll show you how that works. How long does that stuff take to dry though, Taz?
Not that long.
Yeah? Can you re-scribe over it? Or
still,
how long till you can re-scribe over it? No. Cool. All right. So let's go back to adding some recesses. So
yeah,
recesses are fun. I like recesses.
Yeah, recess is good.
Recess. Everyone loves recess.
Recess.
Everyone likes recess.
All right. So I reckon. There you go. Drink.
Reckon.
We'll put, say, one there.
Doesn't look as...
So I might go for like some... Let's do a couple. Let's do like one there, and we'll do them on the other side as well. Make it a bit fancy. Fancy.
Fancy.
Oh, it's very fancy.
So are you guys up till like Tuesday or are you up till Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And then we got Thursday off.
And Thursday off as well. Anzac Day.
Anzac Day.
It's what day?
Anzac
Day. Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. So it's like celebrating all our World War soldiers and shit.
What was that? What letters are they?
ANZ C Corps.
Okay.
There's no K.
All right. I was like, what the?
Anzac.
Anzac. I got you.
Remind me when I send you a care package to throw in some Anzac biscuits too. Those things are the best.
No. Okay.
Chewy or crunchy?
Crunchy's better than chewy.
Chewy, bro.
Nah, crunchy, mate.
Nah, fucking chewy, man.
Fucking crunchy.
You can get both?
Chewy's great. Nah, there's two schools.
Recess for adults, Kyle, is called Smoko.
What was that?
Oh, he's like, you need recess for adults. I'm like, that's just called Smoko.
Yeah, it's called Smoko.
Fucking Smoko.
Fucking Smoko, mate. Can't do anything with Smoko.
What? The fuck is that?
Smoko.
Break?
Yeah, Smoko.
Smoko.
It's like recess for adults. You know that morning break you get, like from the 15-minute break at around 10 o'clock you get at work?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, but that's called smoko.
I don't get that in my work.
Don't you have laws where you have to like have X amount of breaks?
Yeah, those don't apply to me.
I would complain.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool.
Alright, so I'm just going to use like this diamond tape as well to do my first little notch. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's do that. Yeah, I like it. Alright, so I'm just going to do another recess. So this is just the clear version of the Dymo tape. May as well use everything I have.
Everything.
Everything. You know what? I'm not even going to do it. Let's do it the tack way because I'm lazy and can't be bothered doing the tape. So this is the way I tell people not to do this shit. But essentially you only need one straight edge for this sort of work. The rest you sort of freehand and call it a day. So I'm going to lay the tape where I want the bottom of the notch to, or the recess to finish. So, like, I'm going to put it right there. Now, what I'm planning on doing is having my recess follow those lines like that. And then this one here
How bad this looks.
is going to follow that line. So I want to take this section here and this section here and just recess it down so it's got like a nice little step. So to do that, I will grab my hobby knife first, and I'm just going to put the corner of the hobby knife, I don't know if you can see, against the tape, and then sort of flatten it, and I'm just pressing down and rocking the knife back and forth to make an angled cut into the plastic. So if I just rub that off, so now you'll be able to see I've got like a slight cut mark along here. So I'm just going to do that again. Just go a fair bit deeper. And I'm like pushing, so you can see there on the side I've come down a fair bit. We will then grab our 1.5 Madworks, and we're just going to scribe from that corner down. So we'll scribe that in with that knife pass we've made as well. Just go lightly first so you don't wobble. Madworks are better for doing this sort of line than the BMCs. With the BMCs and their thin blade, it makes it a little bit harder to follow a free-handed line like that. So we'll go down, across, back, and just we're going to scribe this to the depth roughly that we want to do our recess. All right, so I've scribed that fairly deep. Now this is where we want something like a, not a 1.2, something like a 2mm chisel. A 1mm would also work. It's just a little bit more work, obviously. 2mm I find is really good for something like this. So that is what a 2mm chisel looks like. It's rather large. So we will then, using these lines as a guide, I start by doing this. So if you can see, I'm putting the chisel on an angle like that. And I will press down, and I'm just putting like a bevel along that panel line that I've made. So we'll follow that around So I don't know how well you will be able to see that on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a nice little bevel. So we'll go back the other way and keep.
And to clean that bevels, James, do you just use thin cement as well, or you can sand it?
I'll thin cement it. I'll sand it. I'll scribe with The good thing about a 2mm chisel is this is pretty much covering the entire recess. Like the recess is probably just over 2mm, and I'll just lightly scribe it, very lightly, and that actually flattens it. Like if I keep doing this with virtually no pressure, that'll actually flatten that off ridiculously well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see on, say, the chest of my goof here, for the recesses in here, I've re-scribed all these recesses out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just used, say, my 1mm chisel to get in there, and I would sit there and just lightly scribe inside that recess till it flattened. So I primed it and saw it was very uneven. So I've just used this to just keep scribing, and like sort of you'll see the paint sort of recesses down, and you keep going till you get it nice and smooth. And surprisingly, with a sharp tool like this, you can achieve a pretty decent finish.
Nice.
So now that we've done those recesses, and the only reason I do those recesses is it gives a nice like start-stop point, and it gets you to the depth you want. So we will then just keep working, just nice light passes back and forth. Oh, well, not back and forth, just always pull towards yourself with chisels. As soon as, like, you can push on this sort of work, but chances are I'm going to slip and stuff up, so I don't recommend doing it. And you'll get a nicer finish if you keep just scribing down. So I'm just on the flat point. So pretty much I'm just going to keep scribing this down until the bevel's gone and I'm left with a nice flat surface, so we can work each way.
Yeah, nice.
And obviously you can do all sorts of crazy designs by doing big recesses. And freehand scribing like images and little details into kits is good fun. So same if you see like that sword blade, like the hilt, or what do you call that thing, the top of the sword, between the blade and the handle, the guard or whatever it's called. There's a word for it.
That bit.
Someone.
That bit.
I can't think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So that was just lines, and I've freehand scribed that just by using a chisel and working my way down. So it's essentially, once you get more confident and you do it enough, you can start freehanding, and you'll get, like, once you're really confident, you'll just start there doing it, no worries, without really thinking too much. So I reckon that's probably deep enough. So I don't know if you can see, so there's a recess. We'll probably take a bit more off the outside as well. So this is when I'll push. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to even the piece out so it sort of waves down a bit. So I'm pressing the bottom edge of this chisel as hard as I can, like through the piece, like down. So I'm trying to keep it as flat as possible, and then just pushing forward on different angles and using like the bottom of that as a guide. So you actually only, any high spots, the chisel will take off. So if any bit like is high, that chisel will just sort of come in and clean it, so then we can keep it fairly consistent.
Nice.
So that would be a recess I am fairly happy with. That looks pretty good, but it appears to have worked. So we'll quickly do the next one. I'm not going to worry about doing it on the other side. Hilt is right, I think. Scabbard.
Hilt.
Yeah,
scabbard is no.
Scabbard's what you put the sword into.
That's the sheath.
The thinner the go, the longer the cure time, by the way, Captain Gabe had said. Does anyone have any further questions on anything we've shown so far in the chat? Anyone want to tell me I'm wrong? That's always fun.
You're wrong. You're
doing it all wrong. And look, there's probably white people that do this a lot better than me. There's people that do this a lot better than me. This is just the ways that I've sort of learned. And what works for me. But as always, there's no right or wrong way of doing anything. It's just find something that works for you and definitely do that.
Yeah, this feels super wrong to me too. Which you said super wrong. Yep.
Oh, I should have used my teeth. That's where I've gone wrong. Fuck.
Yep.
Right, so we'll just do the next one as well. So I've just once again made my 2 marks.
I'll leave that shield for a bit.
Is there any other thing we need to show scribing wise? So I've done recesses, notches, lines.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
That's about it, I think.
We could do we could do cut throughs as well. Usually, but that's the same as doing anything else. Armor separation sort of crap. You just sort of cut through pieces and call it a day. And there's not much I can really do on this kit anyway. Maybe we'll put a lot of the time I'll do, say, on maybe the arm here, I'd cut a full notch out of there and just cut it the whole way through the armor so you can see the frame. And essentially the way I'm doing that is with a chisel and just scribing a square or an angled notch until I cut the whole way through a piece. Same way of doing it, just keep going till you cut through the entire piece. Nothing too fancy, different from this. I can't really think of anything else that I would normally put into a kit aside from notches.
Cutouts, notches.
Cutouts, notches.
Yeah, you've got to scribe. You did your templates.
Is there anything else anyone wants me to show or re-go over? This episode seems to have gone a bit quicker than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, your name. Maybe I scribed your name, Playmo. Witchy wants to know your name.
Correct. That was alright, so we can go over that. This was all done freehand as well, so I can show you a way to do that. We may as well try to transfer my name down the center of this piece as well, because why not? Something to show. Alright, as soon as I finish this last notch, we'll scribe that in.
Circles. Yeah, we can go over circles too. I mean, sure.
Do you want to take circles? Because I never scribe circles.
Sure, I scribe circles. I always use a template.
Like circles is just something I don't do because.
What you'll need is you can use a plastic template like this. You can get this at the hobby store, Walmart. I think I may have got this at Walmart actually. Or circle templates like this, or like this. We'll go with the plastic one because it's right here. What shall I scribe a circle on? One second. Here's my one sheet. It's a piece of. So you really can't scribe a circle easily with this kind of blade, right? That's why I use. You can use a sharpened nail, like a lot of people I've seen where they take a mechanical pencil and you take the guts out, or you take the lead out, and you take a sewing needle and you clip. So what you can do is you take like one of these, and you clip the end off, but you actually put it through your pencil. So this is because when I scribe a circle, I want to be like perfectly perpendicular with the surface I'm scribing. So like James and we've been scribing like linear, like with like we're kind of going parallel with the surface. This we want to go perpendicular because I don't want, it's a circle. So I want the scribe width to be the same all the way around the circle. So let's go with this bigger one right here. Then I'll go back with a chisel to make it even bigger. But so I just go around lightly with this until I just get a somewhat of a little trench going, a little scribe. I'm going to do a second one so we can see the difference in just what this scriber does to the chisel. I'm not sure the size. Let's go that. This is a Hasegawa scriber. It's just called just a Hasegawa scriber. It's pretty cool. It comes with a sharpening stone, so you can sharpen, keep this the tip really sharp.
It's all about keeping the tip.
Got to keep that tip sharp.
Just the tip.
I've also taken if you have a circle cutter like this, yep. you can take this and actually cut your Dymo tape with it. It's sharp enough to cut the Dymo tape.
Yeah, I mean, I've used that circle cutter a lot I used it a lot on the Zaku for cutting out little fucking circle stuff as well. Could you, use that circle cutter as a good way to start a trench for a scriber as well, though?
I don't know. Let's try it. I've never tried it. Why not?
Because, I mean, you'd probably have to refill the center pin prick from the needle. But if you spin it round to make your first knife cut, then you could probably follow it with a scriber, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Let's try it. I'm gonna go back onto this one circle and I'm gonna use my 0.3. I have a really cheap chisel set. Mine came from China, and I've got all the sizes. This was about $30. Came with a nice wood box. They're not the greatest, but they work. So my dog is hacking now. Jesus. Okay, that's the right one. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to go a little slower because this is squared. So the edge is squared, so it's a little harder. So you kind of want to constantly move it with the way the circle is. But it's the same principle of scribing a line. I'm just pulling backwards and letting this do the work. Now, I usually have never scribed a circle this big. I'm only doing this for our experimental purposes.
For sure. Yeah, I can't think of the time I've ever needed to scribe a circle.
The last time I scribed circles was on my hobby Hyzok. There's some notches that are little circles, details.
Because like for notches and stuff, I use like the spin blade, like the flat bladed, like those God hand drill bits. They've got the flat tip, but that's just a recess.
Right. Yeah. So you only have to bury that a certain. Yeah.
Whereas I've never needed to scribe like a panel line that's a circle. But no, it's good to know how to do. I'm sure one day I'll find a use for it.
Yeah. All right. So it's not the cleanest, but all right. Let's try the circle. Let me go back and do this a little more. What was it? This one. I've never actually scribed a circle with a chisel before.
It's probably not the best idea.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's working, but doesn't look bad. Doesn't look good. It's this right here. It's fucked. All right, let's try the little circle scrapper. So this is just like a compass. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. This is a titanium blade. No. Let's see. Now, can I follow it with my scriber? A little wonky too. Yeah, that's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, my whole panel fluid. Let's see. Fluid out. Hey. The circle template holds fluid. It's not the best, but yeah, this one looks like shit right here. Look at that.
What was that done with the chisel?
This is the chisel.
Yeah, no way would I use a chisel for a circle.
So, yeah, this right here was the Hasegawa scriber or a needle. Actually, I've seen people use just hardware scribers, right?
Yeah.
This was done with a 0.3 chisel. Kind of gross. Yeah, and I mean, you could get rid of that little pinprick in the middle.
Oh, yeah. That looks alright. It's nice and thin.
That's definitely better. That's the best, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to scribe circles, I would get a scriber like this. Feels really good in your hand. This is a nice big piece of rubber right here. It's nice and weighted. I think it was about $7 on eBay.
A good deal.
Yeah, maybe $8. But it does come with a sharpening stone, which is nice. It doesn't tell you how to use it. You'll have to watch a video on how to use a sharpening stone, but if you don't know how to use them. And that's how you scribe circles. But I usually use something like this. I actually use these little circles right here when I scribed last time.
Oh yeah.
They're tiny, but you just do this a few times.
And done.
And done.
That's so much better.
And then you go, oh, a little much. Oop, a lot of much.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Good.
A little something.
Awesome.
Yeah, what else you guys got?
All right, so I'll just move on to the point of the extra thin cement, because I've talked about it but haven't shown. So on this, you can see there's like both my notches now, the recesses. They came out pretty good. it's just adding little details. Usually I'd add some more scribe lines to the outside of this. So we shall, the reason I use extra thin, you use it like a panel line wash. So what it does is it smooths out, this stuff like melts the plastic. It melts the plastic a little bit, and it just smooths out. When you've like painted and primed, like you've primed and painted, it just sort of creates a smooth surface. So when you actually come in with your panel line wash later on and you just touch it, it'll flow really nicely because there's no little bumps at the bottom and such. So usually I'll just grab some extra thin and just touch it like you would a panel line wash, and that'll flow through the panel. So all it does is it gets rid of your dust, it smooths everything out.
I need bigger chisels. I thought I had some more.
And here's the packaging for that chisel. I just found it.
Oh, sorry. I'll quickly flick the camera back to you.
No, I'm sorry. It's called the TT1 modeling scriber. But you can see the little sharpening stone in there. Bam.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll just go around, touch it like a panel line wash. And all this does is just, it smooths out the bottom of your panel line. I do this to everything that I scribe. And then we'll do the same, I'll use the other thin. So that just smooths it all out, makes it nice and easy. I will pretty much not, if you do that, like save this till the very end, because once you've done, like with this glue, that'll stay tacky. I generally leave it for a day before I go back and we'll do anything else to this piece, just to let that glue properly dry. So we'll just smooth off those recesses as well, just with some thin cement. So that is that. Oh yeah, I guess we can do some freehand, like how I did my name. So essentially, I'm just going to, the way I did last time is I'll just wipe it off the face. That should be fine. Cool. I'm just going to freehand most of this anyway. So I'm just going to line that up there, draw a pencil mark. Yeah, close enough. Do the same on this side. Something like that, and then we'll just go, I don't know, maybe we should do it that way. So we'll go in, just whatever works really. No, I don't like that. I don't do it on my last one. If I don't like it, that's why like it's good to draw over your kit. We'll go the other way.
Yeah, you draw on it.
Do the same. There's a line. Alright, cool. So we will do, it's got to be vertical. So I'm just going to essentially just obviously you'd probably measure this better. this upside down. I'm trying to remember like each of the letters.
Yeah.
K, and then it would be an A, and obviously I've written that way too big. Essentially, all right, we'll just do 3 because it's easier.
NZB.
NZB, mate. So we'll just say N. Close enough. All right. Then we'll pretty much grab some of the thin tape again, because that will give me my outside lines. And then I think after this, that pretty much like is everything covered about scribing, I'd say. Well, everything to get you started.
Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know what else we'd cover, man.
Sounds good to me. So do that. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Anyone?
Take that as a no. All right, so what we'll do here is I'm just going to run down and say, let's mark it there to there. Now you could do this a lot neater and like do all your lines with tape, like all the cross lines as well, but in the interest of I don't really care that much, I'm just going to use the knife to do the outsides, and we'll just do some cross lines wherever, because close enough. That was already on an angle. That's on a different angle. That's on a different angle again.
Nice.
That was not far enough. All good. That's on another angle. Yeah, see, this is why you should use tape.
No.
And we shall use... Yeah, that's pretty bad. Just disregard all this. So I'm just going to scribe down and just follow the lines close enough. We're just doing this quickly because why not? And I just scribed way too far into the tape. Yeah, anyway, this is essentially just how not to scribe cleanly.
The first part of the show we showed you how to, and now we're going to show you how not to.
Because every time you just quickly freehand shit, it goes badly. Yeah, let's disregard this. I'm just going to fill this and never talk about it again.
Love it.
Don't do that. Yeah, let's not talk about that,
Everyone talk about it. When we're done, everyone DM James about his about what he's doing right now.
All right, so we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. So ignore that. It is what it is, but we'll just fill that in with like some super glue.
We'll just put a plastic panel over it.
Yeah, actually, I might actually. That's probably a good idea. I like that.
Just plate it up. Just plate it up.
Right, so I'm just going to fill that with super glue and call it a day. So we can go back to the that other fixer-upper piece I showed before.
Oh yeah, let's see what that looks like.
So this is still a bit tacky.
Lick it.
Maybe if I lick it, I'll just hit that with some of the accelerator. So that will just make it dry instantly. Sweet. And it smells like... it's on video. It lives forever. When in doubt, battle damage. Exactly. Right,
I love the smell of the accelerator.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? So here you can see I've like super glued my fuck up. And we're just going to file that off now. And this is where the black stuff's good because it really shows your fuck up. There's too much crap in my file. Let me just clean that for a second.
Has anyone tried to color their own super glue before?
Oh no. Aside from this black Madworks stuff, I've never seen coloured super glue.
Nor have I.
I'm going to see if I've got a bigger chisel.
Alright, so there you can like see.
What is that you cleaned your file on?
This is a piece of rubber.
Piece of rubber.
It's, yeah, literally just a piece of rubber. They sell them as file cleaners, tool cleaners. So I can't remember the company. It's like a hard rubber.
This is what I use to clean my files.
What's that say? 1 second. Let me flick the
wire
camera.
brush.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a bitch. I would rather have that.
Yeah, so this is just essentially a block of rubber. At work, we use bigger versions of this to clean bigger tools. As you buy like a big roll of this rubber shit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just good for getting shit out of files.
Love it.
Anyway, so say that's there. Now we can come back in with our chisel and we'll describe what's already there now. I would recommend using tape again. So you'd re-tape this piece up to re-scribe over the top. But in the essence of I'm being lazy again. Trying to see where that line is. Now it's probably a bit hard to see, but I've then re-scribed the lines. How can I show? Actually, let's get some paint. Paint will fix everything. So what we'll do is just grab some white paint and we'll just so there you can see like that's now essentially smooth. That panel line's no longer there. Whereas if I paint over that, good enough. Where's my water cup? So if we just grab the scriber again and just follow the line. Obviously you wouldn't do that while the paint's still wet. You can see there that's now nice and smooth. So super glue works really well and it lets you re-scribe just straight over. Easiest way to fix. So just use any super glue. Like you don't need to buy like the Loctites. How much is that a bottle for the Loctite?
It's I think about $3 a bottle, roughly.
Whereas this stuff is expensive, so like I think that was how much is the Zapagaf? Like $15 or some shit.
Holy shit!
I mean, you get 1 ounce.
Yeah, you get a big bottle, but so this is 0.14 ounce. It's like 4 grams.
This is 28.3 grams, though.
Yeah, this is tiny. I did find a shitload at Walmart for $1, so I bought I have like 10 packs of this right now. So I'll be using it for a while. But so I guess it's probably cheaper. Zapagat might be cheaper per for the volume.
Isn't, but I just like that you get a big volume. Like I've had that one bottle for ages, and I'm down to like here. So nice. It is what it is. Anyway, so that's fixing your fuck ups. That's creating more fuck ups. So notches. So essentially, you've got the basics to do notches, lines, recesses. Using those techniques, I think that pretty much wraps up this scribing lessons.
Any questions, guys?
Anyone have any questions? That includes
I'm done.
You as well.
I'm good. It's pretty good. Richie says, cool. You can put plot plate in your notches. Yeah, that's another thing, too. You can, you take a notch out and you put a little piece of plate in there.
Oh, yeah. That one I totally forgot to mention. If you guys have not seen the book Scratch Build Revolution, that is a good resource as well for learning how to scribe. Where's my copy of it? It is definitely a worthwhile read if you can pick it up. So,
the only place in the States that carries is, I think, USA Gundam Store. I think it's $40.
Just be careful with it because the pages fall off.
Yeah, mine.
Just on your dodgy copies.
This is mine.
Oh well, yours is in like.
It's loose.
That's ridiculous.
Mine is completely in just loose.
So this will, like, if you want a written version, this is definitely worth the read. So showing you basically scribing how to use your plastic cutter. This explains in written detail how to build plates. So this is showing where you've put little bits of ply plate into your notches to make little further details. It's a good read if you can pick this up. A lot of interesting techniques. Taught me a fair bit as well. Decent, worth the read.
Oh yeah.
Aside from that,
fuck, I went deep. I think I may have went too deep.
Too deep.
Is that? Can you?
Are you on camera for that?
I think I went too deep. No, well, I'm going to leave it at that and just try to even that bit out, I guess. Fuck.
Good stuff.
Well, that actually worked pretty well time-wise, because I've got more things to do today than I thought I had.
Yay!
Yes, I would definitely recommend.
And what we can do as well is between now and the next episode, I guess, with you guys watching, start cleaning up, I guess, like whatever whatever things if you guys haven't primed it yet, have primed your kits. Start sanding and cleaning up all your scribes, all the what do you call it? All the scratch build shit, mohawks, plates, and everything like that. And then prime it. I guess they can prime it off camera.
Yeah. Do we want to prime before next time or what?
Because I was thinking.
Yeah, go on.
Because I was thinking, like, if they can do that themselves, then you know, you guys will see your mistakes. You guys will have time to fix it yourselves. And instead, the next episode, we can just go straight down to laying down the base coats, I think, or I don't know, totally up to you, if you guys.
No, base coats would be good next episode.
Yeah, so I reckon from now till then, that's what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start cleaning up. I'm just gonna sand everything, mask all. I guess the wires need to be masked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, all of that shit. Just mask everything that needs to be. Prime it. Have a look. If you guys need to fix it, I know I will. That's your time. The best way, like the primer of truth, really. That's what we call it. I'll show you your mistakes. Fix it all up, and when you guys are happy, leave it alone. And then the next episode, we're gonna start laying down base coats.
Well,
so we should have your thing about colors maybe before then, or
yeah, I guess like I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna. It depends who presents it, I guess, man. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's like because you're doing weathering.
Yep.
What colors are the easiest to learn weathering on?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Because I think I
we
remember
go,
you saying
we go
red
by
sucked.
the green. Let's go by whatever. You know, let's go just by the box art or whatever. Like the
Yeah.
Let's go by green. Up to you guys what sort of shades of green you want to do. If you want a paler green or a lighter green, dark green, it's all up to you. Because weathering will just be the same kind of tone anyway.
So technically, they don't need to do green if you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're going to take the colors you're using. Do they like change depending what color you paint the kit?
Yeah, well, let us know. So if you guys
I'm
decide to
happy
paint it blue, or you guys decide to paint it white or whatever, let us know in the chat what kit you have, like what sort of paint you made it.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll just let you know, like, oh, I reckon it would be good with this color, or we'll do it with that.
Yeah. Well, you'll explain that anyway. So I'm pretty much just going to go. If you're going green, I'm going to stick with it and go green as well.
I'm going to go olive drab on this. Olive drab on the lighter parts, and probably interior green or something like that for the power parts. I'm not going to go because you guys can, if you want, just go to an instruction manual, and find the right mix of a Zaku 2's green, or use I think they
Yeah, they have MS green. They have MS Zaku. You can just buy the
Gundam green or whatever. Totally up to you. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do in mine, and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is going to go pink anyway, but like it will explain the weathering when you get to it, like how to do it per color and the theory behind what you do. So like technically, yeah, paint it whatever the fuck color you want. But for argument's sake, I'm just going to copy Taz because then I can like rip off his weathering.
And because it's going to be in an environment, like with there's no surprise there. I don't think it's going to be on a diet that we're going to do. So we are going to go. I'm going to go with that. So whatever we've decided on, what sort of diode it's going to be, what sort of environment, snow, fucking, in the middle of summer, winter type thing. That's how I'm going to do the weathering, regardless. So we'll decide. But as far as base coats, up to you. So let's just. I said I'm just going to go with the basic green. Totally up to you guys.
Sounds good. Well, does anyone else have anything further they would like to ask before? I think we could probably wrap this up about now. Yeah.
I think so.
If you guys have got nothing else, that's about it. I said I didn't really do much on mine because I stuffed up big time. So I'm going to do that during the week. And I said, like, I'll just post it up on my page. And for you guys as well, like, we've been seeing a lot of, like, the build along hashtag, and that's great. Following along, that's excellent. So keep that up.
Yep.
For sure. Like, yeah, no, keep using that hashtag. We definitely want to see all your progress.
Interpretations.
What you're coming up, like, so far, like, all the different shoulder cannons and mohawks we've seen from people has been awesome. Definitely been enjoying that. So we're looking forward to getting this painted because I know I want to start on the weathering.
Yeah,
Yes,
I just want to start on the painting process of this because, that's just, it blows fun to me anyway. But I'm just saying as well, like, for all those people as well that, just recently just caught up and whatever, you just don't have to, do the LEDs. You don't have to do all the mods and shit like that. Just jump along, like, go straight into the painting episode, I guess.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I've told many people just pick and choose what you want out of these lessons.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do any of it, really. But if you want to, say, do the scribing, go ahead. But pretty much I've shown you on the shield how to scribe 3 different techniques. You can take as much or as little as that over the entire kit as you want. I'm literally just leaving the shield and calling it done. I'm not bothering scribing anything else on this. And it mainly comes down to I don't have time to be working on this except for these streams. Like I'm just trying to get my GWC build finished. So I'm literally working on this a couple hours every fortnight. So yeah, like take as much, go like as in depth as you want. So pretty much for the next episode, it's just next episode's fairly cheap. It's buy a couple colours of paint that you want to paint your kit. I'm essentially using about 4 or 5 different colours on this.
And we'll touch on pre-shading as well. I don't know if Geo is gonna do the painting side of it. If not, like, I'll gladly take over because I've got a few ideas on pre-shades and shit like that. Anyway, all the post shading and post highlights, we'll do that like on the weathering side. But with this one, we'll just do like some sort of pre-shade and I guess the most basic way. But we'll also talk about like the black and white technique and so on and so forth.
Sounds good. Well, we'll just put it pretty much as this sounds like it's a Tas episode then.
Cool.
Yeah, about time.
So you won't have to listen to me talk anymore, which is good.
Cool. Oh, well, we love hearing you, mate.
Well, once we pretty much, I'm going to get to shut up now till dioramas.
Nice.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for that either.
So we'll probably have let me just check the schedule. So we're back on the 5th of April, May. And then I'm in Japan till the 30th. So we will probably be on hold till the 2nd of April in between the next 2 episodes.
2nd of April, 2nd of May.
Yeah. Right. Nah. So we'll be one will be the 5th of May.
Yep.
And then the week after the next 2 weeks after that, I'm on holidays in Japan, so we probably won't be able to do any of the streams.
Yeah, that's cool. And gives us time to actually work. If they want to catch up and work more, and that's perfect.
Yeah, so it'll give you a couple of weeks from the initial base coats of painting until the weathering episode. So sorry about that, guys, but I will.
No, it'll be a good chance for people to get caught up.
So, does anyone have anything they would like to say before we end this?
The freaky fingers. Grab yourself some freaky fingers.
Coming by. Thanks, Witchy. KH. Jesus.
You gotta
get you a tiny hat.
How creepy does that look? Hey, guy. I can do this all day. Hey, guy. You can't see me.
Taz loves his tiny hand.
I love my tiny hands.
You got to paint it, man. You got to paint it.
Why? That's all right. Oh, because it's not my skin tone.
You got to get your skin
That's what makes it freakier, I think.
That's true.
All right, well,
I'll paint the nails red.
Paint it jaundice. Get it just yellow.
all right, guys. Well, I am no Zaku Boy or James. Thanks for watching. It has been a pleasure. We will
thanks,
catch
everybody.
you in 2 weeks for the painting. So I'll probably, hopefully, do a live stream on my YouTube channel as well when I come to prime the kit. So at least that way, if you don't know how to prime, I'll sit there on a night. So it'll probably be no one watching because it'll be like 9 o'clock on a Friday night or a Thursday night my time. So you'll all be in bed.
I'll be watching you, James.
So I'll pretty much just jump on and do a live stream so we can just sort of run over priming. Just because I know some people aren't bang up on it. I'll put an Instagram story when I'm about to do it anyway. That way you can, at least if you don't know what you're doing, or maybe I'll do it Thursday, like this week, because I got Thursday off, so I could do it during the morning when I get up, and then anyone around could probably watch me prime the kit. It might be interesting, it might not.
Really,
are you going to the service, mate?
No. Why would I go to the service?
I don't go to the service.
But yeah, so I think it's like, it'll just be maybe a nice way to show, because I know not everyone that is building along has painted or airbrushed a primed kit, but at the same time, like, none of us are ever here going to like spray it with rattle cans, and if you do that, go ahead. Like, if you don't have an airbrush, you can always hand paint everything as well. Don't be afraid to try it, but just don't ask me for advice on hand painting, because I tried that once and I was very bad at it.
Now, are you planning on just painting priming the whole kit as a whole?
No, I'm going to disassemble it into sub-assembly, so break it down as much as I possibly can, and then prime like that. I never paint as a whole. You can't really get in everywhere. I don't know anyone who does.
I just really thought, are you going to take like armor off, or no? You got to mask it for the joints. I know, like the arm, you're going to have to because you filled the seam.
The same with the leg.
The leg, yeah.
I'll go limb for limb by limb at least.
Pretty much. Like same with like the skirt. I've got heaps of masking to do when we come to the painting stage anyway, because color separation, especially on my gun and shit.
Yeah,
that's got to have multiple colors, and because that's now being built all as one, there's not much I can do there. Same with like the mohawk. I want like a dark green mohawk, or maybe like a purple mohawk and a fucking green head.
Oh man, I want to go leopard print on mine.
Oh sweet.
Yeah.
Fucking leopard print, bro.
But yeah, so like, this is like the best part about doing an SD Zaku is it's kind of hilarious. You can just take the piss, go for a serious build, do whatever you want. That is true, Gabe. You do not need to mask with hand painting. At the same time, I am not hand painting.
I still do. Speaking of SDs, I actually snapped the that 00 SD that we were going to use.
Oh yeah.
I was bored last night and just snapped it. It's not too bad actually. It looks good. It looks cool. I love the head. The head's got like that option of like a clear piece or the sticker piece. I'm like, of course I'm going to use a clear piece, right?
Oh, for sure.
But the color separation is mad. But I want to paint it one day.
No, awesome. Well, everybody. Thanks for watching again. I know, like, we said goodbye already, but then it went on a bit longer.
8 long goodbyes. Just don't go away, mad. Just go away.
All right, so we'll really wrap it up now. Thanks for watching, guys. It has been a pleasure. If you have any questions, hit one of us up. We're more than happy to take some time out of our days to answer further. Leave a comment below. I read all the comments on this channel and will respond to as many as possible, which is pretty much all of them because no one comments on it. Otherwise, we will see you on Instagram. In the description below, there is a link to each of our Instagram profiles, so you can check us out there. And we will see you at the next stream on the 5th of May. Till then, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Y'all. Bye.
Good
Happy
night.
Easter.
Bye.